Oh,
We have some noise in the background, unfortunately, but I hope it's gonna stabilize. How it is on your side?
it sounds like you're in a tunnel. Uh,
Okay, now it's a quiet for me.
yeah,
Is it okay for you now?
yes, it's better. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. So here is Joanna Pilatovich one more time. I am with Margaret Rogers van Coops, and this is our third time. So I would say we have little sessions by now about very interesting topics. Hello there.
Hello. It's so wonderful to be able to do this with you. The computer world has just opened up so much for us to share. So I think we'll have some fun today.
Oh, yes, we will. We in the last moment we changed the subject. We're supposed to talk about coding and code of the soul, which is also great topic. But today we're going to talk about how to release anger, fear, difficult emotion, any kind of, you name it, pain. What else? It was their guilt. I think that's the big one too.
Mm,
So
mm.
let's start about it and let's give our listeners something they can already work with. And for more questions, we will hear what they say, their opinions. So we probably do a follow up on that one. It's a huge
Mm.
topic.
Yes, it is. So the first thing I'd like to say to everyone is thank you for watching us and listening, and I hope that they will sign up and follow us more often as we get more and more information that we share. Um, Let me go straight into the planets right now. Mercury has just gone retrograde, and many of the outer planets are also retrograde. So, if I run it by very quickly, we've got Mercury saying, do I know what I'm talking about? Do I understand who I am? What's the purpose of my life? That kind of thing. And then, why is everything not working? Why am I let down? Why am my family all going around in circles around me, and so on? So that is taking us in a way with the outer planets right back to our birthing time. So this is a rebirthing. It's a redoing of who we are and what we want to be. And for me, I just had my 77th birthday. And I can tell you, I really know I am looking at the 7-year cycle. So it's my 11th cycle, and I'm rejuvenating my cells, and I'm letting go of emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, different concepts that I've had throughout my life, because we do change our point of view, right? Mercury is making us think about that. And
Big
then,
thinker,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then quickly, Saturn is the master planet of teaching us lessons. So, of course, I can't
That's
talk
a
about
hard one.
I can't talk about everybody's position, but the main thing is to understand that if Saturn is hard to your birth time, you could be having some hard lessons. Whereas if it's subtle, it could be more an awakening and opportunities arising out of what you've learned and studied. So some people are going to be miserable, some people are going to be very happy with the changes. So Saturn tests us to make sure that we're changing. And then we have to look at Jupiter. Jupiter is the friendly planet, and that brings surprises, people, unexpected history comes up. Someone you may not have seen for years suddenly turns up, and oh my goodness, and you start reminiscing about the past. And as you do, you realize, hey, I've gone beyond that. I'm not that way anymore. So it brings in a lot of insight through Jupiter, the people we talk to. And then we're looking at Pluto, power. We all want to win, we want to be the boss, we want to be top dog, but the bottom line is that power can be very aggressive, and we can be too aggressive with ourselves and deny ourselves from loving. And Venus is coming in up there saying, are you loving yourself right now? With the moon and the closer planets, it's question mark. Are you caring about you and giving you what you need? And then we've got Uranus, which is it's British way of saying it. Uranus is American way, however you want to say it. But ultimately, that what that does is that brings us the communication through the internet, that kind of electrical stuff. But it also brings us an impulse energy within our body. And so our body is transforming. And some people are saying, I'm really hot, I'm really cold, I can't sleep at night, or I can't stay awake. It all depends on what each person is going through. And I could go on with every single planet, but the ultimate thing is I want people to understand that these influences are causing us to look at our measured beliefs of fear, pain, anger, guilt, and all those things we think we lost, that we should have had and kept, might have done and might not have done. And we have to realize that we're coming to a point where everything was perfect, however bad it was, because it made us grow, it made us become better people as a result of it. But on the other side, look at the horrible things that have been happening in the news, people with guns for no reason, just going in somewhere and shooting people. I mean, anger is raging right now. And that's Mars. Mars is really pushing our buttons. Yeah. And I know you've been having some stuff, I've been having some stuff, and there's a lot of people out there who are having stuff come up. So I'm hoping that we'll kind of go around different questions and things, and at the end I'll talk about my little crystals and how I've evolved myself through time so that I can leave people with something to do to help themselves. So fire away, ask me whatever.
Okay, let's start. So how can we assist now people and to our listeners, but also friends of our listeners, if somebody's interested, what is the basic method you would suggest? Because of course, it's not about going to the doctor. Some of it, they're spiritual matters. Some of it is connected with psychology, with philosophy, system of beliefs. So how to get to that? What is the simplest method when people are actually suffering from tremendous, whether there is a pain, let's say, love breaking up, a lot of marriages right now, I heard stories for, falling apart. And this is enormous pain from both sides, even if they do want that. That's topic number one. It's huge. I heard that.
Yeah, let me answer that one, because that's a very good question. The first thing I want to say is we've been through a period of history where it's all about me, and you affect me in certain ways, and I respond to the way you attack me or you see me or whatever it is in some way, and I'm defensive. I'm protecting myself, and I don't want to hear what you're feeling and thinking. I want you to hear what I'm feeling and thinking. And of course that's set everyone in controversy. So what I suggest people do right now is take all that history and put it on the side. One can't delete it because it's what you learn, but put it on the side and instead pull back and listen. Okay, one of the things I noticed so much over last year is that every time I started to talk, even in my family, they would hear the first sentence and immediately come in over the top of me with their point of view on my sentence. And I've got 5 or 6 sentences I want to share first. And I have to sit there and be very patient and wait till they feel they're done. And then what am I doing? I'm watching them. I'm watching and listening. I'm watching their body language, which is NLP. Like, let's say, I'm going to be nervous. Well, I don't know, I want this and you're not doing this and and I'm fiddling with my hair. That's a nervous response. And watch, and we see different things. Some people blink a lot, some people sort of look all around and never look at you while they're talking. And you have to learn to read that body language and understand their insecurity.
That's a smart one because it gives you a little bit of distance. And in psychology, we can also mention that it's good that you study the role of another person in order to understand that person. That is, of course, when you can do that, because with some of the relationship, what the problem is from from what I am hearing, is when one person is very abusive wordly to another person. So this person can maybe go for a while and study that person, but if it's going on for 1 hour, second hour, third hour, it's getting too much. You need to do something else. What then?
Well, first of all, you shouldn't allow it to go on that long.
Exactly.
What
Yeah.
I tend to do just with my family, for example, is if I'm feeling they're pressuring me too much, especially with the children, you know, they're all adults now, of course, in their 50s and 40s, but in terms of their memories of me, they're, you know, 3 of my kids live in England, so they don't see me very much. So, and we don't talk on the phone a lot because we're all so busy all the time. So they remember me from the time I was there before, and they try and pick up and talk to me as though I was, you know, that person I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago even sometimes. And I very calmly just say, sit back, and I let them go on about whatever it is because they all think they have to take care of me. And then I just quietly kind of lean forward and I say, thank you for that information. I actually think about things differently now. Would you like to hear how I think and how I feel? And if I go, I haven't got time, or I know they're not ready. So I just say, okay, and I don't make it an issue. But if I turned around on the other side and I said, well, you never got time for me, then I'm playing their game. See,
Yeah.
they want me to be the mom that I used to be, you know, and hey, you know, I'm 77, I've got 50-year-olds, and why would I want to be mothering them? Because they think they need to take care of me because in their mind, I'm 77, I could drop dead any minute. And, you know, I'm actually fitter than some of my kids, you know, and, you know, but they don't see that. And they are the product, and I'm being honest, of my 3 marriages.
Yeah.
And the fathers that they've been good with, but they're still, we have all the influences. And if you think about someone in school and you're 5 or 6, you know, first year kindergarten or whatever, and you're suddenly, you know, not with mommy and daddy anymore or siblings, but you're with 30 other kids. You see them standing there sucking their thumbs. It's like, you know, some kids, and it's like, I'm nervous, and you can see their basic coding that, you know, they've learned in the womb and in the RNA from the mother and father as they're rearing the child. And so some children are trained to hold back and don't speak and be quiet, so they grow up believing they can't share. And there's others who watching their parents rant and rave at one another, so they think, okay, that's what I have to do. I have to go out and rant and rave at my school friends. And then there's other kids who have, you know, they witness movies and people hitting people with, you know, swords and things, so they think they could go into class and start bashing other kids over the head with a ruler or something, you know. And we don't realize just how much we're copycatting in terms of what we see, we hear, we feel. I was looking at a family a while ago, and they're very alike in features. The DNA is very strongly passed through all of them. And they're all sitting there with their head like this on the sofa visiting me, and their heads are all the same. And then mother would say, well, do something, and they'd all go like this.
Oh,
You know,
right, yes.
because they were responding. See, we listen with one ear and we hear it, sort of close numbers on one ear, and then the other ear is listening for far off distant things or spiritual things. We don't realize we're doing all this body like, look at me, I'm waving my hands. I must be Italian somewhere.
Yeah, you know, it sounds a very simple tip to hold back and listen and study your, let's say, opponent, your person you converse with, in order to learn something and to understand this person. But it's very complex because then, as you just mentioned, you learn a lot about this person, exactly about coding, about programming, system of beliefs. And it's a non-verbal communication as well as in words, how this person talks, what exactly he says. So it's a huge thing. Do you want to add anything to more tips? I would love to hear about the crystals you prepared today.
Oh, yeah. Well, the crystals are something that I was always drawn to. When I was 3 years old, I would go to the seaside or out in the park with mom, and I would pick up the pebbles off the ground and take them home. And then I would put them on my friends while we were playing, mummies and daddies, or doctors and nurses, you know. And in every situation, my friends always, for some reason, wanted me to be the teacher or the mom or the doctor or something. And so I would get to put those stones on them, and then I'd sit back like this and just watch them, and I'd see all their auras and their
Wow.
colors. And because, you know, and some of the kids were angry, so I could see lots of red. Some of them were more subdued, so more blue, intellectual. Some of them were more emotionally unstable, so there was a lot of green. So the aura, that's another thing. People say, oh, I'm going to give you an aura reading. Well, the bottom line is the aura is never still. That's like saying I'm going to read every wave in the ocean that's coming at me.
Yes.
You just can't do it. It's too much. So you have to learn to understand that your aura is an emanation of every aspect of yourself. So what are your aspects? Your physical self, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Then you've got your history of your ancestors. Your DNA is carrying all that. And then you've got all the people you've observed in your life. It doesn't matter whether it's, a teacher that you actually hear, or someone sitting on a bus or a train that you never even talked to, but for some reason you find yourself looking at them and you don't know why. Well, what you're looking at is someone who's either got an energy that disturbs you or an energy that you feel you want to get to know them more. Well, I grew up with all of that, very psychic, so by the time I was in my teenage years, I'd already developed the stone healing therapy, as I called it in those days. And now today it's called crystal acupuncture. And I have some little stones. And this is about 2.5
Can you lift it
centimeters.
a little bit more? I don't know if it's going to be visible. Oh, yes. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, it's about 2.5 centimeters. And this one is hematite.
Oh.
Now, different stones do different things. I'll bring up a few. This is
That's one of my favorite, but probably all of them are not my favorite because I love stones.
Carnelian harmonizes the 5 bodies. The 5 bodies are physical, etheric, which is your lower self emotions and minds of everything that you've learned in this life, in this material sense. Then we have the spirit body, which is the you that leaves at night and goes out of body. It's a you that leaves the body finally when you die and goes back to the oneness. And that body, spirit body, is very interesting because you could transfigure all your past lives, and someone could be watching you in the right light and say, oh, you look just like somebody else or something. And what we're seeing is their history. And we don't realize we're even doing that. That was something I had to learn over the years. And then we have the higher mind body, and the higher mind body is the ascended consciousness. So when we're channeling, we're downloading the master teachers, that kind of thing. So that one, it doesn't go out of balance. But if the lower 3 are muddled because of fear, pain, anger, and guilt, then we're going to find ourselves lost in that misery. We need that spirit self to keep the balance. And when the spirit self can't keep the balance anymore between the higher and lower self, we get suicidal. So for anyone who's listening right now, I want you to understand that you are able in your own way to bring your power to your spirit by your higher mind body. So meditation, any of those kinds of things, you don't have to hear a spirit voice. You don't have to speak. You just have to be still.
I want you to repeat that for the people, because I work with a number of people who were about to commit a suicide. They didn't, but it's very important topic because you mentioned it's about also connection to the spirit, to the soul, or however you call it, the oneness. Please say that again for those people who are suicidal, what they need to do in order to maintain that connection.
Okay, well, first of all, you have to, in your mind, say, I have put myself in this situation for a reason. I have made myself very miserable. And because of that, I'm learning something. What am I learning? Well, first thing that's obvious, I'm learning that misery is horrible and I hate it and I don't want to do it. I'm also learning that I've treated myself badly by thinking it's also learned that if I keep on doing this, as I have done over and over again, that I've made my body weaker, I've made my mind confused, and I've made my heart so sad and miserable. There has to be a time of I give up the fight. I stop fighting myself. I stop fighting the world. I surrender myself, lower self, to my higher self. And at that point, you go into sort of a sobbing, poor me misery, and that comes to a stillness. And then from that point, you just feel like I can't think about anything, I can't do anything. And that's the point you need, because that's when your higher mind body can, and your spirit can heal. Because your spirit's like a seesaw, it's constantly negative and positive. We can't avoid it. We need it. It's friction, and that gives us life. So we're constantly doing this. But if we're more like this, with the poor spirit is way down, that's when we can't pull ourselves back up, and higher self is so far away, we can't pull it down. So we have to keep that balance. So working on the spirit body is important. Then when the self comes in, you just know that you can change, and you change, and you start attracting all sorts of new things coming in. And then through the soul, which is the last body, which is God's divine love, you heal. It's like a river that just flows through you. So coming back to my little crystals,
okay,
I'm going to show the technique. This is my thumb, and this is my nail. I hope you can see. I'll get as close as I can.
I think it's going to be perfectly visible.
You want to support your fingers and thumbs when you're doing it. It's a bit awkward for me because I wouldn't normally hold myself like this. But about 2 millimeters after the nail, behind the nail, is a point that I'm pushing in here. Can you see it? I can't, my hands are in the way, so I can't see if I can, my little camera of me.
Oh, right.
So
I think it's visible, but the point exactly between is not visible. Maybe you can point it like this, front.
Okay, I'm looking under my hands. So I'm just holding it there. So
it's just close to the nail.
And already I'm getting very hot. But I'm very open, so I don't need to treat myself. But for the sake of here, I'm going to say, supposing I was not hot or I was not feeling energy, I would push, push, push 3 times. That's the stimulation. It unblocks the energy in the body, okay? And then when you feel energy moving, as I am, then you make this little circle on the spot. You don't take it off. You just make it a circle, see, clockwise. And then when you've done that finger, then you have to do it back to front. And you do the next one, okay? And you do each of your fingers. So hold, wait to see if you feel some energy. If you don't, you do the impulse. I'm exaggerating now, but if you don't take it off, you're just pushing it in. And 3 times, 5 times maximum is if you're really, really negative.
What crystal shall people use?
I said you don't, like you were showing me yours earlier on, and yours are all nice big ones, but no, they're too big.
I have big ones, yes, I have.
You show someone, that is way too big, and also that's quartz. And quartz, I have a little quartz one.
That's the smallest one.
Look how small my quartz one is.
Show me. You have to lift it up a little bit.
Where's the camera?
Yes, there. Yes, perfect.
See how small it is? You don't need anything big. I have these cut for me originally, but now you can go to a crystal shop, or you can go online and you can buy them for like $1 each or something. You can get really cheap. So, China makes them. So you can shop for them. But if people can't find them, they can get a kit from me. And also I have a book. And so it tells you how. First of all, I'm going to show this one. This is called Therapies, Crystal Acupuncture, and Pterogram Therapy. This is all the theory. This tells you about your 5 bodies, the coding, the history, all those things. You read this, and it explains by stories too. Some parts.
Where but is it available? Can you quickly say where that book is available?
On Amazon, easily find it. Okay. Yeah. Also, I have a page with my name on Amazon that we're building more, because I have many books. But this book is the start. You read this and you will psychologically, emotionally, mentally, and physically identify by reading this how you need to change yourself. And then when you've done that, then it's twin, the other one. This is the book of diagrams. You see there, everybody can read.
Yes, perfect.
And you can
it's going to be perfectly seen.
To just point out, you see these stones?
Yeah.
Those are what I call pterograms. That's my name spelled backward, Margaret.
Oh, okay.
It's my trade name for them. And I have 6 of them. And I have one out. I just show you how big they are. I just pull anyone out. Okay. This is my gold one. I had to get gold made. You can't find them very easy. But what I'm pointing at here is you can see, I'm trying to get close. You can see there's a circle in it. Yeah. Yes. That is natural, the way agate geodes grow. And you need those circles. Now, so sometimes people make these, get a very big giant one and they slice off a bit.
Ones.
And no, it's a real stone, but they cut it in half, and it doesn't have the whole circle. So if people go shopping for one of these, then you need to see the circles. Why? Because the circles spin the chakras, and you put them on, as I showed in the book. I'll hold it up again.
Chakras.
Put them on the chakras, see? And there are 6 colors, and the gold one is, my extra one that I wanted because of Ascension. And I have a kit with that, and what that comes with is a CD for take this color, and so on, for learning how to use them. And then the second one is for people who are suicidal or people who are very miserable. It will take them, it's about 40 minutes long. It takes them through dumping their history, realigning their 5 bodies in the chakras, lifting their vibration out of depression into joy and happiness, connecting with their spirit guides and the oneness. And I have it on the CD, but we're working, nobody has CDs anymore. So I'm going to have it available. I have it available. I'm just not promoting it yet, but people can contact me, and then I can, I think it's $12 or something, and they can get the audio.
Right. Yes, it's helpful sometimes because some people prefer to hear it and then follow the instructions instead of reading them. It's Well,
the meditations on there they're not instructions. It's you're listening to me guiding you through everything. So
that's even better. I think it's fantastic.
You have to read the books as well, I'm afraid, because there's so much knowledge and wisdom, and I can't take all the glory for it. Everything I ever write is channeled. So I have to acknowledge the oneness and the ascended masters who work through me, who give me all this information. So, for people who are, let's come back to the emotions now, if you wouldn't mind. Anger. The biggest anger that I see is not with Tom, Dick, and Harry, husband, kids, itself, because I can't get me fixed. I'm so tied into everyone else. And so I project that I'm out of balance. My anger is a rage, and I'm going to be furious with everyone else. But really, we're furious with ourselves because we haven't got all the answers. And the first thing I have to say to anyone who's angry is realize you don't have to find the answers, because as many said in the 70s, as young people won't know this because they weren't born, but the answer lies within. That's just what everybody was channeling at the time. And the truth is, we have all the answers within ourselves, but if we're so busy looking outside of ourselves and throwing all our debris verbally at other people, then how can we listen and see ourselves? So the first thing,
the most difficult thing for people to tap into themselves, because of course the moment they are able to do that, whether through therapy or being guided by someone, within 15 minutes they are connected and they hear their own inner voice that they know best what to do. The hardest part is to get them there.
Well, it's not the hardest part for the therapist. It's the hardest part is for themselves, because they have a belief that they cannot fix themselves. You see, now we got to go back in time again to when we're a little baby, and we got a runny nose and a horrible cold, and we feel miserable as hell, and Mummy says, okay, we're going to the doctor, and the doctor's going to give you the magic medicine, and you get this spoonful of stuff shoved in your mouth, and it tastes funny and strange and horrible. And in that moment, you're having a complete orgasm of awareness, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, that you have to rely on someone else to fix you. So every person out there is potentially your doctor, and you're going to target them to try and get them to fix you. And the bottom line is, no doctor, especially today. I mean, when I was young and studied all my medical stuff, I'm not a MD, I'm a PhD, but I did psychology and psychiatry, I did nursing, and came in the back door to get my professorship and all the PhDs and things I had, because nobody could do what I did. And they were bragging they could find professors to test me, and they couldn't. So anyway, so the bottom line is I'm grateful I have that. And I'm able, as a result of that, to be able to help anyone. So if anybody needs help, they can easily find me and, talk to me online.
I am mentioning that specifically because it's very easy, because I already know that when sometimes I receive clients and they are in that spot that it takes me maybe 15 minutes or sometimes longer to lead them out of the state they are in and connect them with themselves, so they know the best. I don't know, but they know the best what to do.
The bottom line is, once you get rid of, it's like getting an eraser. Once you erase the idea that you cannot fix yourself, you're left with, I can fix myself. There's only opposing polarities. You can or you can't.
And this is very important, to rely on someone you trust. And I think by sharing that, what you exactly are doing, then people are having a chance to get to know you and see if they can trust you, if they can trust me. What are we doing? How we are working exactly.
You've brought up another issue now, because the bottom line is we're taught don't trust anyone.
Right.
It's a stranger out there who might carry you off into the great unknown, and then what's going to happen? Oh, look, you just saw on television somebody got murdered. No, we are programmed to not trust. So who are you going to trust? You're going to trust yourself. And that's one of the hardest things for individuals to believe, that they have a feeling that they can trust. So, teaching someone to believe in themselves and their choices, and to listen to that spirit self I was talking about, and that higher mind body where the spirit guides can come in, or God, or whatever your religion or philosophy is, in some way to apply it to self, that I'm in the zone of me, in my own zone. And in that moment, I feel complete, that's not right, I trust that. So I don't get involved. I just say it's not now. I can tell you throughout my life, there's been many times when I really gung-ho to do something, and I struggled and strived, and it just wouldn't work, couldn't happen. I was frustrated or whatever, until years went by. Oh, stick that on the back burner. It's never going to happen now. And I've got stuff happening now that I was trying to do in my 20s that I'm now 77. 50 years I've waited. They're coming forward that I've got on the back burner, like screenplays and things that I've written and done. That it's time for it. See, I had to wait for the world to catch up with me. Well, we're all the same. We have to wait for us to catch up with ourselves. In other words, grow up. We have to take responsibility for who we are and our choices. And we have to realize that we need to walk in universal time, not this watch time. Because, I could say I'm going to meet you at 3 o'clock on the corner street and, something happens and I can't get there on time. Then I'm in the titwas because I'm waiting. Where are you? And and you're going to be worried and whatever. And I finally get there and you're not there either. Something else come up. You see.
I'm going to go back for a second to what you said because you see, you have people that are coming to you for help and they do trust you. And you said another important thing, which I want to make clear for everyone who's listening. The best person that you can come to and get help, temporary help, is someone that will teach you how to trust yourself. So you actually don't need that person anymore. So if it's a book, if it's a one-time session, if this is something that you can be connected to yourself and you don't have to rely on that person to tell you continuously what you should do. I think this is the important tip, how from time to time you could find this person.
Yeah, that's a very important thing actually, because as you know, it's often psychologically the patient falls in love with, especially if it's a man or woman. Today it doesn't matter. I had a patient years ago. I was working with her on the table, and all of a sudden she says, "You're making me feel sexy," and I said, "Really? Enjoy it." I think it was just in her mind, but that was an awakening for me of a realization, because I was dealing with a lot of gay people, with the AIDS and all that stuff, it was a very interesting experience for me to allow her to go wherever she wanted in her mind. And of course, as she thought she was having, I wasn't touching, I wasn't doing anything other than the crystals. She had what she thought was an amazing experience. And the next thing I know, she turned up and she's telling me she's in love with me. And I'm not gay anyway. So I'm like, well, thank you for that compliment that you're in love with me, but I have to put this back in your hands and say, no, you love yourself. And that's why people often mistake the emotion. They say it's got to go for someone else when it really is for themselves. So a lot of therapists find their patients want to adhere to them, stick to them like glue, because they feel this is the only person in the world that's going to help them. And I have to make it very clear that the only person that can really help ourselves is us, to ourselves. I have been through every kind of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual down the bottom of the whole experience, and had to struggle and climb my way up in order to get out of my predicament and learn from it. And I would never, ever, people have asked me, would I change anything in my life? And I have to say no. Well, I'm doing it as a result, you see. And so you have to find that in your heart, that you're learning by the experience, and whoever's going to help you will help you get over a hurdle one at a time. I have been teaching in Japan for over 27 years, actually, different companies and different things. But I still have, after some of my students who are teachers now, of course, will still come back and ask me some questions, or, there's something new to come up with a client, what should I do? So yes, one has to be very aware of the fact that the patient should not be allowed to bond with you in the wrong way. They have to bond with themselves and appreciate what's going on and all the sessions they have, but they need to know they are responsible for everything, their response to everything that happens. You can't blame a therapist if you don't get them. You know what I mean? It's not their fault you don't
Yes,
get
that's a
a
good one.
barrier. Yeah, that's put up. That was a good point that you asked me that. Thank you for that. Let
Yeah.
me go back to fear. You know, pain. Fear and anger together equals pain. And we have emotional pain, we have mental pain, we have physical pain, and we have spiritual pain. And if they all get mixed up together, that's when we really feel like the whole world hates us, nobody loves us, nobody cares about us, and that's where the suicidal energy comes in. And we have to do, help people see the different levels of the way they think. They'll come to me and say something like, my back's killing me. And in fact, my back has been killing me. I trapped my sciatic nerve, and I've been working on myself because I'm debunking myself of my ideas that my mother wasn't there for me in the ways that I wanted her to be there for me because she was a cripple. But I'm realizing she was 100% there for me in the way I needed her to be there for me, so that I would learn through her suffering, so that I could go out in the world and see that suffering in other people. So here I am suffering and going, okay, I got to get rid of the need to suffer. I got to.
There is this saying, where I hear that recently, that all the healers, they have tremendous suffering first. And someone says, what is going on with all of you healers? You always suffer from something. Why don't you heal yourself once and for all? And, you almost can say that you tested everything on yourself. But there is a certain power, because if you didn't go through it yourself, those things that were very, very difficult, and you figured that out and found the way and understanding beyond that, you cannot really, focus on someone else, because you would be too quick.
Yeah, you see, now you've opened up another can of worms with asking me that question, because basically, our brain is capable of holding trillions and billions, more than trillions and billions of memories that are pictorial images, but those pictorial images are condensed like a computer down to on, off, yes, no, up, down, in and out, and we are able to cross-file everything. And so we have 1,001 choices in the way we want to remember a memory. And that memory is colored by an emotion. So let's say you've had, if we could actually count them, your brain actually knows, but we don't know that we know. How many times, for example, my example here, you've eaten ice cream. Your brain actually knows how many times you've eaten banana ice cream versus strawberry ice cream. But you don't know that. Now, attached to that is how many times you've eaten strawberry ice cream where you were really angry with someone and it was curl up in a corner and pretend it didn't happen, versus yummy, I'm out having great fun at the fun fair, eating ice cream and enjoying myself, and there are 1,000,001 emotions in between, all to do with strawberry or banana or whatever it is that I'm using as an example. Now, here we are, let's say I'm now 77 and I don't have a memory of why I favor banana ice cream. But for some reason, every time I go to the ice cream shop where we've got dozens of choices, I always still seem to come out with banana ice cream. Now, I got to be honest with you and say that as far as I can recall, to the best of my ability, I did not get a banana until I was probably a late teenager or even 20s, because we weren't importing bananas in England, and England didn't have bananas. Same with kiwis that came later, so we didn't have all these foods. We had what was grown locally, apples and oranges and so on. So my mind must have in some way said, wow, a banana, it's so different flavor and I love it, and probably I was having a good time, so I'll choose banana. Okay, but every so often I'll go in there And I've seen myself do this, and I think I'm going to get banana. And all at the last minute, I suddenly go, no, I'm going to have strawberry. So why? And I started to question myself, why do I change my mind instantly? You know, and I started to work with spirit guides, and they told me it's because of the emotions that are attached to it, and the similarity. It could be the color of the shirt I'm wearing. It could be that I've got my hair up instead of down. There's 101 variants on my physical body. I could have had upset tummy yesterday, and today I'm better, you know, and whatever it is. Anatomically, your brain knows what is going on in association with what you desire as a comfort zone right now. And some things that are comfort zone today could be a hate tomorrow because you've changed something about yourself, whether it's physical appearance to emotional or mental ideas to what's going on around you. So we're not in control of all of that. And that is another instability that we need to have that makes us yo-yo emotionally between what we feel and what we think. And the bottom line is harmonizing what we feel and think gives us unity. And when we have unity, we have, shall we say, the middle road, the Buddhic way. We embrace both the dark and the light. Yeah, and then we say, it's okay, I don't have to worry why I don't want banana or I do want banana. It just is. You know, but a lot of people never get to it just is. They just say, well, I don't know why, and I wonder how, and I wonder when, and what happened, you know. That means they're still learning. And we got to keep learning. We can't, otherwise we'd be a vegetable if we didn't keep learning. So it's important.
Who said that? The best way is to be similar to yourself, be congruent with yourself on every level, and then you are achieving your mastery. You know.
Well, when you back to the great masters of, you know, history, philosophers, Plato, all these, I won't bother mentioning them all, but, you know, they all said the same things we're saying today. It's just that we have a different dialogue in the way we talk about the things. But if you strip away all the rationale, we're hearing the same thing. You know, we've been wise spiritual entities. And they're even saying now the Neanderthals, through the DNA, they were intelligent and lived, you know, and integrated with, say, Homo sapiens. But I know that through my alien encounters, you know, I better say, yes, I've had lots of alien encounters. I know that our DNA is the basic DNA of all species, and we've all been integrated with so many different other species. So
I think that's a topic for
right.
video. I would love to do that with you and hear out a little bit more about these kind of experiences, as they are extraordinary. Very often people don't believe it, even if they do remember something. I can tell myself I have a lot of dreams, and about aliens, about different things.
Well, that comes back to what I'm saying about the emotions. You see, the fear, the pain, the anger, the guilt. There's a lot of people say I'm an experiencer, and their imagination comes in, and they were sticking spikes in me or doing this and that. When in actual fact it wasn't that at all. It's you know, telepathy and suggestions. And we don't realize just how telepathic we are with one-on-one. I mean, while I'm talking to you, your eyes open wide when you take something in. Again, I'm bringing you back to body language and expression, the NLP. And when we start to learn to watch all that, we start to realize why a person is overreacting. Also, I catch myself a lot watching mouths because I'm looking for how they speak, you know, when they're talking. It's like, really, I'm really excited. To a mumble bumble, you know. So there's just so many different ways and different, you know, cultures and things around the world that we're never going to understand one another completely, but we can find unity in a moment for a brief period of time. What we don't want to do is to exaggerate it, put it out of proportion, and then make it the be-all and end-all. It's just a moment, and it's a precious moment, but we must move on to the next moment. If we don't move on, we won't have another moment, you see. So growth. Very important.
Do you mind we draw some conclusions what we were talking about very concretely and precisely, so our audience won't forget the basic thing.
One last thing, because we're going to run out of time. I didn't talk about guilt, and I need to quickly do that. Guilt is a self-imposed punishment. We don't need to punish ourselves. I feel guilty because I forgot your birthday, kind of thing. No, that is not. We don't need to share that. That's not someone else's fault that I forgot. It's just something I forgot. So what? They've moved on. They probably didn't even expect me to say happy birthday or whatever it was. So we have to not make ourselves feel guilty. We have to learn that is another lesson we were made to feel, i.e., we're a child and we're touching mummy's something and it falls on the floor and we break it into 1,000 pieces and we go, oh, like you see on videos and things, and mummy comes in and screams at you, you just broke my thing, we're forced to feel bad. But today, now, if you watch videos, mummies are coming in and they're holding up their iPhones and saying, what did you just do? And you say, oh, I broke it. Oh, did you? Well, why? Why were you holding it? Well, I don't know. I was just holding it. It's okay. We can get another one, can't we? That's what I like about the mums today. They're aware.
That's a very good way, but I don't know if this is happening already in every culture, because I recently saw a joke when a child goes out, teenager, Mom, I'm going out. And American culture is, okay, see ya. Another culture is the same. But Polish culture is, with home, what time you're going to be home, but why you are going, but you are leaving me alone home, I'm an author, I may die anytime soon, and so on. It's like that. So it's actually
that's the conditioning. Yeah, that's all the conditioning, and you have to realize that's all it is. And it's up to the child to know it has a choice. If the child is saying, Mom, I'm going out and I'm not telling you where I'm going, what they're really saying is, I can't trust you to accept what I'm thinking and feeling, so I'm making a gap. And if the mother is saying, where are you going, when and what, and so on, then the mother's saying, I'm not trusting you as well. So we've got a distrust situation. With my children, I went through those kinds of things. I have 4 extrovert sons, so they've all turned out to be marvelous men, so that's good. But yeah, they weren't easy to rear because they had wills, strong wills, and they were going to do whatever they wanted to do, naughty or good. And again, I have to reiterate, we have to allow a child to be naughty in order to find out how guilty they feel or how angry they feel at self and so on. But we have to be there to nurture them, to bring them back down to, it's okay, you've made a mistake. And I used to make my children sit down and listen to a little lecture after the event. I see them doing that with their children as well. So I guess it worked. But, each parent has to realize that. I do have another book, which I'm not promoting, but I just mentioned it. It's called Discover Your Baby Spirit. And in that book, it tells you there are 5 types of children. It tells you even before you ever get pregnant, how the preparation happens with spirits of bonding. And then during the pregnancy, how you're going to know what type of child you're going to have, and how to birth the child according to that type of child, and then how to rear them. And that, again, was channeled. And it's a really, really good book. I wish I'd have had that when my kids were young, because it would have helped me a great deal. And so far, the moms that have bought it have come back to me and said, it's just amazing. It's made me so much more aware of my birthing and everything I went through and the joy of that child. And so I'm happy about that. But I'm not a good, I don't pitch a lot. If people want to know my books, just search my name, Margaret Rogers Van Coops, and they all come up.
We're going to add a link to your Amazon account. Not account, but a profile. So people can see, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely interesting, the perspective and what you hear and what you want to share. I'm curious myself. I'm gonna get to it anytime I can, because both of us actually are, you publish enormous amount of books, over 17, I suppose, and you are about to publish another one, which is coming within a month. And we both have a little time, so I appreciate maybe the spirit guys that we are actually finding time and moment to meet, because both of us will soon publish another books very, very soon. Yours is, we mentioned that already, I think, in the program, that you have a book about Donald Trump, and you have completely different perspective on it. So I'm looking forward. I'm very curious.
Well, again, it was channeled, and I do say very clearly right in the beginning that I take no responsibility for what's in the book. But basically, it's talking about his ancestors and the character and the DNA and the RNA in a different way, that without his ancestors and in the overview, him watching them as they're birthed, he wouldn't be where he is today. His grandfather was originally German. And had he have stayed in Germany instead of coming over to America and doing his Yukon thing and making a fortune of money, his short version, he went back to Germany to try and establish his German heritage. Had that happened, Donald Trump would have been reared in Germany, and he would be German. But he got refused. So
in Germany.
You have to, when the book comes out, it's going to be called, unless they change it, it's going to be called Donald Trump, The Enigma of Society. And it explains everything about how we are coded to be and do exactly what we're doing. And he's exactly what he's supposed to be doing. And even though people have lots of opinions about him, that's all part of the overview of what's supposed to happen. So, I was just amazed channeling it, how it shows the soul coding working through generations. And so far, the people I've given to read it are coming back saying, I want to know my coding. I want to know my ancestry.
We're going to get to that.
And now we can, take a saliva and get a DNA test. So that's also very good for people because they can see the kind of countries their ancestors were in, even they don't know, So I'm fortunate I can channel the soul structure coding, and I've taught a lot of Japanese how to do that as well. And I'd like to teach people how to do that as well, to channel it. And I do have a book on the DNA, on that as well. But, one thing at a time. I don't want to swamp everybody with everything. So, yes.
You have a lot of materials. That's fantastic. We're gonna slowly finish for today. I think it was pretty clear just to, conclude for everyone, in order to deal with those difficult emotions or someone in a relation. It's always good to sit back, observe the situation, nonverbal communication before we react. You mentioned about crystal therapy, so that's another thing. Getting a temporary help if you cannot do it yourself, and then learning step by step to reconnecting to yourself when that ball gets too much, so you cannot. So I think it's pretty clear. We are looking forward very much for further questions, suggestions, something we could explain more. This time too, I let you talk this time. It was a pleasure. Always a pleasure to hearing you. And I think for today that will be enough, and looking forward to hearing questions from our listeners.
Yes. We should always invite people to ask questions and to follow, because you have a lot to share, and you'll have a book coming out soon. So I don't know if you want to share that yet.
I do sometimes a separate video. My book is about partially my experiences, also connected with dreams and what I was seeing in the dreams, and immigration, living abroad in another country, from Poland to the Netherlands. and all those extraordinary things when young people, especially young people, they well, that wasn't your case, but some people are thinking that if they are crazy, if they dream about being cursed, being someone else, being reincarnated from some ancient times, and showing it in a fiction book, how the main character is dealing with that, not believing that, doesn't want to go in all this esoteric, so-called new age stuff. But the dreams are creeping into reality a little bit more. So I hope it's gonna be something. Some of
It
it
sounds very interesting. I want to read it.
I will let you read it very soon. It's almost done, and now it's awaiting the publishing.
Good. You're losing the light, so
I am
where you
light.
are.
It's
Yeah.
barely seen here, so we're gonna stop now.
Mhm.
Thank you very much for staying with us and listening, and looking forward to all of you. And we are gonna see you next time. Well, you're gonna see us, and we hope to hear from you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye, everyone.